Welcome in. It's another edition of the RSL Show. I'm Alex, joined by Josh. Josh, how was your weekend, man?
Weekend was great. I had a lot of fun up until, kickoff, but otherwise weekend was great, man. How was it for you?
Yeah, it was pretty good. A lot of soccer this weekend, right?
Tons.
You're talking the Euros final, you're talking about the Copa America final, and then you got a bunch of MLS action, including Real Salt Lake.
What'd you think about the Euro and Copa America final?
Euro was really fun.
I think so too. It's crazy that England has their own version of Berhalter, though. Like all that talent, and they just can't win, man.
Everyone's saying that Gareth Southgate might have interest in the U.S. men's national team job, so
No thanks.
we're just going to go from a Berhalter to an English Berhalter. So
Yep, Berhalter with an accent. Hard pass for me, honestly. Like it's not the right choice, but I could see him making it.
Euros was really fun. I love the game Spain plays. It's one of the funnest football teams, national teams that I've seen. Really like their game. The Copa America got wild.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit, yeah. People climbing in through the vents, jumping over gates, whole bunch
Just
of
pandemonium, man.
Oh yeah.
Is that Messi mode?
I think it's a little bit of Messi mode, and I think this is Colombia's first final in decades.
Okay.
So I think it's a little bit of both.
Monumental failure on the venue, though, man.
Yeah, and I love that, we're playing the blame game and the point finger game where Cannonball's like, oh no, it wasn't us, it was Hard Rock Stadium, and then Hard Rock Stadium's like, nah, fam, it was Cannonball. So yeah, we're an absolute disaster of planning for both sides.
Yep. Hopefully they clean that up before the World Cup, because
it's not good.
It's not good at all. You can't have people that pay to get into the game not get in, and people just barreling in and destroying everything is crazy.
I get the whole, let everybody in after a certain point because of safety issues, because of dangers. But man, like, imagine all the kinds of stuff that was snuck into that stadium that night.
Oh, there were full bottles of alcohol. There was, you name it, it was probably in there.
It was wild. Not a fan of that game, weirdly enough.
It was very choppy.
Yeah.
You'd expect more goals out of that game. A Messi injury doesn't help, but it is what it is.
It felt really slow at times. I think the first half was honestly kind of boring. Yeah, for everything that the game was supposed to be, it was a little boring in that first half. But Argentina win another Copa America. Spain win the Euros, and it was good. It was a good weekend of soccer, man.
Yeah. Mostly good weekend of soccer.
Mostly until we get to the Real Salt Lake talk. But first, I think we should address the elephant in the room.
Before we get to that, want to talk about the ultimate sports bash?
Oh, yeah. I forgot that happened this weekend,
Yeah,
too.
that happened, too.
Yeah, we went to the ultimate sports bash presented by KSL Sports, and it was a good event. It was a super fun event. Got there bright and early in the morning to do some radio stuff with our good friend Jake Hatch, and then afterwards, me and Josh got to moderate the Nick Raimondo panel.
Yeah, and I think that went super well. For it being my first panel, and the nerves I had, and the fear of public speaking, I thought that went well. Although I do think 45 minutes of time to fill it was
a long time.
That's a long time. There were definitely points where I was looking at the clock going, oh boy, I'm running out of questions, man.
We literally walked off the stage with Nick Raimondo, and I was like, dude, I'm so sorry. Like, I ran out of questions. Like, at the end, we were just asking the worst questions possible.
We still made it fun, though. We made it fun.
I hope so. But it was really fun overall, man. It was a good time overall, and awesome to hang out with Nick for a little bit, get to ask him those questions and get some insight. One of my favorite things that came out of that was hearing the Christian Pulisic story.
Yeah, that was a fun one, and one people wouldn't really know, but yeah, if you weren't there, you missed out, and I'm sorry.
We're not going to tell it.
Nope. Maybe one of these days.
Yeah, the Ultimate Sports Bash. for the first year, I mean, it was pretty fun, man. Hopefully, it continues to grow. It stays an annual thing because I had a good time. I had a good time out there.
Yeah, I think for a first year, it was fine. I'd like to see more advertising for it. I would like to see a bees presence, a soccer presence for RSL and the Royals, and obviously a hockey club presence. I think some bigger names, could help bring people in and maybe clear on when they're actually going to be there, because the whole entire time we were there really weren't any athletes there signing anything or anything like that. So I think that stuff could be cleaned up, but overall, it was a great time. I won a sick autographed basketball by Karl Malone.
Yeah.
So I'm pumped on that. So yeah, I had a good time, and I hope it comes back. So it's a first year, just lessons learned, but yeah, good time for me.
Everything that's happened between the Sports Bash and now has been so much that I absolutely even forgot that the Sports Bash was this weekend.
Just a blur. Just a blur.
Yep. One of those things is the suspension to Chicho Arango. Chicho Arango was officially suspended by Major League Soccer yesterday, Monday, for 4 games, which include the upcoming LAFC match that we'll talk about and break down here momentarily, the upcoming Colorado Rapids game. He will not be able to partake in the All-Star festivities, as well as miss the All-Star game, and he will be suspended as well for the first Leagues Cup match at home against Atlas.
Absolutely an insane timing for this, and an insane judgment, with how much they're not telling us to leave him off the All-Star game. That's harsh, man. Absolutely harsh. And then it really just can't be at a worse time for ourselves. 3 really huge games for us this week. 1 we've already dropped, and it looks bleak. It really does look bleak.
We're heading into this LAFC game without Chicho Arango. We're heading into it without Andres Gomez. We just dropped 3 points to Portland. We were talking about it last show about how this is the most important stretch of Real Salt Lake season, having 3 back-to-back away games with 2 of the top 5 teams, or I guess 3 of the top 5 teams. And now we have to do it without our captain and the second highest goal scorer.
Yeah, it's terrible, man. And what really bothers me is how we are not allowed to find out what was said or why this judgment was passed down. And that's almost more irritating, right? I've heard from sources it wasn't racist, it wasn't homophobic. So what was really that bad to get 4 games, right? Is this league just soft as hell or what?
We want to report on the facts, and we want to report on what we know. And obviously, there's not much to go off in this situation because it has been very hush-hush. It has been very quiet and been kept under wraps. I do want to emphasize and reiterate what Josh just said. It is not racist. It is not a homophobic issue. It was just prohibited language used by Arango that the league didn't like.
It's harsh, dude. Fine him, give him a game, but to leave him off the All-Star game, it just feels petty and rude, right? And then it just leaves room for all of us to make up scenarios in our head, right? Oh, Chicho must have been leading, Messi for the captain, or the league doesn't want RSL to be successful, right? They can't have it happen, and them not telling us, even just when it happened, was the incident towards the referee. Getting nothing is also absolutely frustrating to me.
The conspiracy theorists are all full-blown out at this moment, talking about how since Messi is going to miss an extended time with the injury, they had to stop Chicho from getting the golden boot somehow. So this is Major League Soccer's way of doing it.
Well, and without, the team or the league giving us any kind of clarification, it just opens up those kind of rumors and that kind of talk.
Absolutely.
So, I don't want to hear from anyone complaining that, people are losing their mind over it in the wrong way, because in my opinion, they have the right to if we're not going to be told what happened.
It is incredibly unfortunate. I do think that there is a positive in him missing the All-Star game. It's not going to be a leagues game for us. It has nothing to, it's not going to affect RSL in any way, shape, or form. So that's the one positive of him getting banned for the All-Star game.
It's just harsh on him, right? You don't want to see your captain get, get snubbed like that and get penalized like that again for something that we don't know what happened. So,
well, and I was having a conversation with my siblings on yesterday once the news dropped and once we all found out about the suspension, about how obviously Messi is injured. He's going to be out. He won't be able to participate in the All-Star game, obviously. Voting would probably have the second person, right, take the captain's argument, because we all knew Messi was going to be the captain. So there was a very big possibility that Chicho Arango was going to be the captain for this All-Star game.
Yeah. So it's really harsh on him.
Yeah.
He's going to miss a great opportunity. And again, if it's some prohibited language, let's look at the whole situation, right? It was a poorly officiated match, right? I know everyone wants, I'm assuming it was something said to an official. I know everyone wants, all the respect in the world to go to the officials, but at some point, players are going to speak their mind, especially if the match is poorly officiated. And I personally have no problem with this. I know people out there love referees and want to defend them, but sometimes they got to hear, what the player has to say. It's life. It's competitiveness. So, I'm going to die on this hill and defend Chicho here. Yeah, I know there's a referee shortage because people are mean to him, but it's kind of the nature of the job.
Well, in this situation, man, I mean, we talked about in the group chat, the officials lost control of the game. There was moments where in that Portland match, you could see tempers were flared. There was a little altercation and a fight between Gomez and Felipe Mora that kind of escalated. And it started with Chicho taking down Evander. There was a handful of moments in this one where I believe that the official had lost control of the match.
He lost control of it early.
Yeah.
And he lost control of it by not being consistent with his yellow cards and not being consistent with his calls. Also, to my point with the referee, if it was said to the referee, some prohibited language, give him a red card. Handle it right there. You know what I mean? Don't go crying to the league that, someone said mean words to me, because that's what I feel like happened. Again, I don't know what happened, but that's what I'm assuming because we have no information.
Well, and that's what we're left to think, right? We're left to think that Chicho had said something to the officials. The official put it in the match report while Major League Soccer is combing through. And this one's going to be combed through pretty thoroughly because of the mass confrontation that happened around the 22nd minute. So I'm sure something was put in the match report. League saw it, didn't like it, investigated it, and then ultimately landed on the suspension for Chicho Arango.
We're really going to see our depth tested against really tough opponents, and it's going to suck when we drop points because, old Salty Josh is back right now. Not in a good mood. So it's just a horrible way to potentially lose and throw away all of the good that we've done. Right?
We look at this game. RSL goes down in the second minute. Goal from Felipe Mora. Poor defending inside the box from Hidalgo or Brody, one of the two, whoever was at the near post with Mora. It is unfortunate because it looked like Brian Veras took a little bit of a slip on the turf and allowed Portland to get the space to cross it in. It's all of a sudden 1-0. RSL does what RSL does, and they didn't put their head down. I thought that they still had, a little bit of life. They still had life. They were still playing well enough early in that first half to try to find the equalizer. But then that's when the fouls just started raining in. I believe it was Chara who came in with a heavy challenge, got the yellow, and then RSL went into retaliation mode and began. Yep. And then both teams were in retaliation mode, and then foul to the left, foul to the right. And it just didn't feel like there was a flow of the game because there was just foul after foul after foul.
It very much reminded me of last year with Houston. We let them get under our skin and we stopped playing our game.
Earlier this season with Colorado?
Yep. So we're a tough team, but apparently we still let guys get under our skin, and we should be letting the play speak for itself. I don't know. They just lost the plot, really.
Should be expected, though, when you're facing against Diego Chara.
Right.
Because that's what he does.
at the same time, that's what we do, right? And we
Yeah.
should know better. Like, we should know better. Diego Charo's been around long enough that we're going to know that he's going to try to get in your head and hit you hard, right? So I don't know. It was a very frustrating performance for me. We looked toothless half the time. We looked like, we just looked like we were unnerved.
I think what's even more disappointing is you look at the stats at the halftime, right? You're down 1-0, and RSL only has 2 shots, none on target throughout that entire first half.
Yeah, our ruthless attack looked like kitty cats out there, man.
They really did.
There's really no way to be nice about it. We just did not look good.
I thought Portland's defense did a really good job on Chicho, but it also comes down to there was a lot of fouls on Arango, and I think that's one of the biggest reasons why Arango was upset is whenever Chicho was in an opportunity to hold the ball and try to create something, he was immediately clipped, he was immediately hit, something along the nature, and there wasn't really too many calls in favor of Arango.
No, and there should have been. And again, that was an inconsistent, wow, that was a horrible word I just tried to say, performance by the referee, because there was no protection, right? Had that been Messi, there have been multiple red cards on Portland in that game, in my opinion.
I thought we were going to see Chara go.
I'm shocked no one got sent off. How no one got sent off is beyond me.
Yeah, especially after, well, I guess, I mean, it's an early fight, but still, I thought Gomez was really tiptoeing the line of something a little more in that kerfuffle.
Absolutely.
Speaking of which, 22nd minute, Chicho Arango brings down Evander, stands over Evander, yells some words, and then Portland players obviously are going to protect their guy. So they come after Chicho. Gomez gets involved, gets up in Felipe Mora's face. It's a whole confrontation. And in that moment, I think I felt that we were going to fail to get 3 points in this one.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
100%. I can't even argue that. Like,
you go back and you look at other situations where RSL, there was a confrontation between RSL and another team, and there's clear moments where Chicho Arango, the captain, is going to break things up. But when it's when it's started by the captain, I think you get a whole different reaction, right?
100%. If the captain's that pissed and getting after it that much, that means the entire team's coming in too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Halftime, 1-0. Early in the second half, I believe it was Cabecita Rodriguez who has an opportunity. The ball's just going back and forth in front of goal. No one can clear it out. Santiago Moreno finds it, puts it into the back of the net. It's 2-0 early in the second half. And by then, like I said, it just didn't feel like Real Salt were up to coming back into this one.
No, it's because we had no rhythm. We had no game plan. We just did not look like ourselves, right? Defensively, we were poor. The midfield was poor. The attack was gutless, toothless. It just didn't feel right. It didn't feel like RSL at all.
One of the things that I think made Real Salt so good in the summer last year was the ability to rotate because of games like Open Cup, right?
Mm-hmm.
You were able to bring in your bench players and they played consistent minutes through the week. You had your A team, quote unquote, on the weekend, but there was a constant rotation of bringing in players in and out of the lineup. Everybody was getting minutes and it was sharp and it was good. This year, I don't necessarily feel like we have rotated the squad enough, and I think that has a lot to do with the lack of depth. And it's been a couple of games now where we've seen fatigue hit Real Salt Lake.
Yeah, that's the point I was going to get to. The real lack of rotation. I mean, we've seen rotation in spots,
not the way we saw it last year,
but not a lot. Yeah, not a lot. And I definitely think we're looking tired. We're looking dog tired out there.
You go back to those weeks, the 3-game weeks, and who consistently on Andres Gomez is starting, right? Diego Luna is starting.
Anelli Ojeda,
Chicho Arango. They're all consistently starting even through 3 games a week. Yes, we've had some breaks. Yes, we've had weekends off, but we're still not getting enough rotation for it to, I think, properly rest the guys like we did last season.
Right, and properly get the bench guys minutes to be prepared to play and start.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we saw, I think, a lot of that early in that second half after we went down to 0.
100%. And we're gonna be forced to rotate for Wednesday. I have a feeling it might be a little more rotation than we'd like to see. Some of it forced, but LAFC is a tough game. I'd almost rather us see them rotate a little more for LAFC and really go for it in Colorado.
I think between the two, the Colorado one has a little bit more to it, if that makes sense.
It does, and it's more of an opportunity to put distance between, top three and then everyone else.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what I mean? LAFC is always going to be a tough game, right? Our record against them is not stellar. Even with the full squad, it was going to be tough. But now without our two most dynamic attackers, it almost feels like a write-off game. It sucks to say that. Maybe the bench guys go down there and they're not properly scouted and we can pull something. But, yeah, I'd rather see us go full bore for Colorado, as full as we can anyway.
I don't want to write them off completely because there have been, there's been moments where Julio has really stepped up this year.
And sure. I'm not saying not go in and bring the Monarchs in, right? But if Catranis needs a rest him Wednesday, play him against Colorado, right? If, we need to see Palacio in there. There's just some guys that need to take a step back for a game, maybe come off the bench. But, yeah.
I think Ojeda and Anelli both need it, man.
Yeah, I could definitely see a Taliscan Palacio middle of the park on Wednesday. I would not be shocked.
I do, yeah. When you're in a situation like this and you're forced in rotation, it is less than ideal, but the positive is that you have the ability to get these guys some game minutes. We've seen Julio have good performances off the bench this year. We've seen Palacio really step up his game over the course of the last couple of weeks. Good opportunity then for here to start and potentially get back, to have a good game.
Yeah, I really wish we had Barajas right now.
Yes.
That's
another thing. We lost Barajas. We've still yet to replace him. And now we're in the situation where we don't have Gomez.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think our window's open yet.
No.
I think it's the end of July. So even if we did have a replacement, right, they're not going to be playing. But
until Thursday.
Yeah, so it would be nice to at least see some rumors, anything. I still think something will happen. But, man, right now, this fan base really needs some good news, which is odd to say after the season we've had, but it's feeling really bleak right now. And I know that'll change, right, once League's Cup's over and things are kind of back to normal. I hope it changes, but right now I'm not feeling too great. I'm taking this news really hard, okay, Alex? I really am. I got the news at work yesterday, and I was, my coworker's like, "Oh man, he's fired up."
It sucks, man. It really sucks. It sucks. He's in contention for the Golden Boot. He's in contention for MVP. He has led this team from being a fringe playoff team to West contenders.
Mm-hmm.
And to lose him at the most important stretch of your season, gutting.
Absolutely.
I was playing FIFA yesterday and I couldn't even focus on the game because I was like, damn, we lost Chicho Arango.
Yep. It's horrible. It's horrible. That's all I can say. It's horrible.
Yeah.
I'm not happy, guys. Not happy.
Obviously, we're pretty shaken up with the news, as you can tell. 3-0 loss in Portland. You'll lose the 3 points. The 10-game unbeaten streak on the road is broken. It's hard to be, overly critical of this team because they're having a fantastic season.
Right. You can't. I'm not being too critical of the team. I'm really not even that mad at them about Saturday. Right? They clearly look tired. They let Portland get in their heads. I'm sad we dropped those important 3 points, but to lose those 3 points and then lose Chicho and Gomez for LAFC,
it's just kind of
it's all compounding, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Even though those games haven't happened and we obviously can still win, my outlook is not great.
Yeah. 23 games played so far this year. Real Salt Lake sitting on 12 wins, 7 draws, 4 losses. 4 losses through 23 games is
not bad.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
It's not bad up to this point. I think Rouse Lake did a really, really good job of keeping up with the Supporter Shield race. However, there was even talks before all this happened, right? Before we even took the field against Portland, there was talks about how the Supporter Shield race was going to really shape up after the end of this weekend. And sure enough, we're already seeing that.
Yeah, and luckily some other teams dropped points.
All of them did.
So that's one bright side, right?
Yeah.
I hope that continues to happen. And it could. But again, just losing Chicho for these games is just such a and to have I know Julio's having a great season, but it's not a like for like productivity, not a like for like change, right? He's more of an over the top guy, not a hold up guy. We really don't have a hold up guy.
Well, even the intangibles are different.
Right.
I don't think there's anybody in that locker room except maybe Jay Glad who compares the leadership that you get from Arango on the field.
Or just the fire.
Yes.
But then, you also lose that intangible of you can be down, but you can rely on Chicho to pull you back up.
Which we've heard the players say throughout the season.
Right. And that's gone.
Yeah.
So other guys this is their time to shine and really step up.
They need to step up.
They have to. And we need to get some more bodies in here. Yes. I'm sorry.
RSL still very much in the conversation for, a top 3 finish. However, with 2 losses or even 1 loss over the course of the next 2 games, that Supporter Shield race gets just that much further away from Real Salt Lake.
Yeah. And if you remember a couple weeks ago, I said, I don't expect us to finish first. So top 3, I'm going to be happy. Right. And then I want a deep, deep run in the playoffs. But yeah, the first place in the West thing is just kind of where we're holding onto the rope. We're dangling on it and it's slipping. Unless we can because this is the other problem. All the other teams are getting stronger. Right. I know we can still do that and we probably will, but not hearing rumors and hearing, stuff like this, it just makes you not feel great. It doesn't give you that hope.
Montreal gets a 1-0 win over Atlanta United. DC United with a 2-1 win over Nashville. Charlotte with a 3-1 win over Cincinnati in Cincinnati. Huge result for Real Salt Lake and a huge result in that Supporter Shield race.
Mm-hmm. Let's go Charlotte.
Orlando with a 3-0 win over New England. Toronto with a 2-1 win over Philadelphia. The Union sitting at the bottom of the Eastern Conference, Josh.
We really did break them. You were right.
Insane.
To go from pushing for MLS Cup last year to the basement dwellers. Woof.
To an MLS Cup appearance 2 years ago?
Yeah, that's a big yikes.
Bottom of the East for Philadelphia. Seattle with a 1-0 win over Austin. Seattle climbing up the table slowly but surely.
As they always do.
Chicago Fire with a 0-0 draw over New York City FC. Another big result in the Supporter Shield race has Dallas with a 2-0 win over LA Galaxy.
Let's go Dallas. Thanks, guys.
Houston with a 1-1 draw over Minnesota. Vancouver Whitecaps with a 4-1 win over St. Louis City.
Another team that's just... What happened to them, man?
I think it was luck last year.
I think so, too. I really do. And I said it last year. I said, this is just some weird first-year luck that no one's ever seen, and it's not going to last. And sure enough, they're bad now, man.
They really didn't do much to boost their squad either. They really ran it back with the majority of the squad that they had last year. And I think now they're paying the price for it.
Absolutely. And I kind of love to see it.
Colorado with a 1-1 draw against the New York Red Bulls. Portland with a 3-0 win over Real Salt Lake. The Columbus Crew with a 5-1 win over LAFC. The most anticipated game of the weekend, and Columbus just absolutely puts the hammer down on LAFC.
Unreal. That's unreal. Columbus is a scary team, man. It's kind of the scariest part about potentially, pushing to MLS Cup is it's not like the East has a team that's easily beatable, right? Cincinnati's going to be tough. Columbus is going to be so tough. Miami's going to be tough. So, yikes. It sucks that we're really good on a year that everyone else is also really good.
But to be in second place in a year where everybody else is doing really good.
No, it's great, but like it's too bad it's not a couple of years ago where we'd be far and away the best team and really having a good outlook.
5-1 win over LAFC. I didn't see that one coming. I thought it was going to be a closer game, but Wilfred Nancy and the boys just putting on a masterclass in LA.
Yeah, that Columbus team, man. I don't know how they do it. I really don't.
Well, I mean, they start off, not too focused on MLS, and you could tell that now because, the start of the season for them wasn't too good, and then all of a sudden they're one of the best teams in the East.
Mm-hmm. But they've also had a lot of turnover player-wise.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're still doing it with all that turnover, it's very impressive.
Last result, Sporting Kansas beating San Jose 2-1. Again, Peter Vermees just hanging on to that job.
He's got to get those dirty results to stick around. Most unlikable coach and most unlikable team in the league. I just can't even... Have we played San Jose yet?
No, that's one of the teams that we still need to play.
Odd. That's really odd that we haven't seen them yet. But we've seen Colorado. Going to be 3 times before we see San Jose in the same conference.
That actually brings up a really good point, and I didn't want to get too much into it, but we're going to talk about it. The scheduling this year for RSL has not done them any favors, man.
Oh, no, it's been brutal.
It has been terrible.
So harsh, which gives them even more credit, but it also makes sense as to why they're so tired.
Why do we have so many midweek games? Why do we have these weird away trips where you go back to back to back? Then you have like these weird weeks where they'll make us play Wednesday and then not on Saturday, so you get like the Saturday off, but then you have to go play on Wednesday again. It's just weird.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. I want to know who makes the schedule, and I want to hear how they make it and what their thought process is.
Yeah, the schedule for RSL has not been kind this year, but the light at the end of the tunnel, the bright side of it all, 6 of the last 9 are at home.
Yeah.
And against pretty easy opponents.
Well, we don't call anyone an easy opponent, Alex, because...
Fairly beatable opponents.
Yes, there we go.
How about that? Right.
Not LAFC or LA Galaxy.
Yeah, after Wednesday, you don't have to worry about LA anymore. After Saturday, you don't have to worry about Colorado anymore. You get New England at home. You get San Jose at home. You get Dallas at home. Trip to Austin, but...
So we should be able to make a decent finish to the season, and that's good.
I think it's big help that 6 of the last 9 are at home, and we've pretty much gone through basically all the difficult away trips.
Absolutely.
But let's focus on Wednesday with probably the most difficult trip of the season.
Yep.
BMO Stadium in Los Angeles, California, to take on LAFC, the number 1 versus the number 2 national TV FS1. And again, we don't have Chicho or Andres Gomez.
Yeah, it's that it makes it even worse. We finally have an opportunity to put RSL on the map with the national audience, right? And we're going to go out there with Michael Chang.
I think that's why we lost on Saturday, because it was an FS1 game as well.
Oh, we have an FS1 curse?
I think so. I think most national TV games for Real Salt Lake, from what I can remember before Apple TV, did not really go well for Real Salt Lake.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
It's really true. Conspiracy time. Conspiracy time.
And now we get LAFC at LAFC on national television. Murillo suspended. Sergio Palencia suspended. So 2 of their top defenders unavailable, which after Saturday night, they both got red carded against Columbus. After Saturday night, I thought that was a really, really good sign, and now you don't have Arango.
Yeah, and that's something, Arango could have feasted on.
Absolutely. Aaron Long just coming back from injury.
Listen, maybe Julio's going to have himself a night. Maybe we sit back a little more in this game. I hope we don't. I hope we still try to play our game and really bounce back, right? Pablo's known for bouncing back. The guys on the team can do it. It's just a matter of, finishing our chances and defending, because we're still thin in the back. So not only are we thin up front now, we're thin in the back.
You do get Eric Holt back in this one.
Oh, great. You just made me feel so much better. because he's totally been playing and train. Like he's been training, but
you do get Eric Holt back. There is the possibility of Justin Glad, although that one is a lot less likely for this one.
hopefully the bench at least.
Yes, hopefully the
At
bench
minimum.
at least. Pablo said in the postgame presser that they were going to do their very best to at least give him a spot on the bench for this game.
That would make me feel a lot better. If you can close out that game with Vera and Glad in the back, I would feel a lot better.
It would make me feel a lot better for Saturday too.
Yes, 100%. Because Saturday's going to be a dogfight.
Yes.
There's no way around it.
Colorado's going to want to take advantage of no Chicho, for sure.
Yeah, but that could also hurt Colorado. So I don't want to see Colorado with the Rocky Mountain Cup. That's really what it comes down to. So
focusing on LAFC real quick, I'm scrolling through their schedule right now, and the last time that they lost was Saturday, May 4th, before this Columbus game. They went on a stretch where they won 9 games and only tied 1 in that stretch. This LAFC team does not lose. They win.
yes, they're good, right? They spend the money.
They spend the money, but I think Columbus gave the league a really, really good roadmap on how to beat that LAFC team.
But you can also say Portland gave everyone else a really good roadmap on how to beat RSL too.
By committing fouls and getting under their skin.
Played Stoke City it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you can't play your game because you're always on the ground because you've been fouled, it's really hard to win unless you're punishing on the set pieces, right? So Atlanta did the same thing in a lot of ways, right? So yeah, we're just going to have to get better. We're going to have to adapt.
My heart, my mind want to tell me that that RSL is not going to pull off 3 points in this one.
Oh yeah, my brain's telling me season's over. We should all just pack it up. But then there's the other side of me that's like, we still have a chance, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not over. It's not over. Negative Josh. It's not over. But it's going to be tough. And if this squad can somehow pull a result, it's going to say a lot for them, right?
I think there is an opportunity in, LAFC having 2 of their top defenders suspended for this one. If Julio can take advantage of an Aaron Long who's just coming back from injury, there's a chance. There's a possibility. If Vera and that defense can clean up just the little mistakes that we saw in Portland that eventually led to those goals, there is a chance. And I want to say that there's going to be a chance no matter what, as long as Pablo and that coaching staff can rile up the guys as they have all season long.
And you know what? Honestly, maybe this Chicho thing riles them up for them. They could be very pissed off too, right?
Yeah, there you go.
There could be positives there.
LAFC RSL kickoff tomorrow, Wednesday, 8:45 p.m. on FS1 and Apple TV. It's a late kick. Josh won't be watching. He will be in bed by then.
Absolutely will be.
But I encourage everybody to watch, everybody to support, because the boys need us at the moment.
100%. Let's go RSLers.
Josh, any last things you want to add before we wrap this one up, man?
I am salty, but, let's be positive. Support the guys. There's no reason to be mad at the team. We can be mad at the league and that soft-ass ref, even if it's not his fault. But I'm blaming him since we don't know. So, support the boys. Let's get some points. Head into Leagues Cup, on a positive note. And then come back from Leagues Cup even better. So we got this.
If you missed our last show, we sat down with RSL defender Alex Catranis. He kind of gave us a little walkthrough on his journey to Utah, gave us a little insight into that RSL locker room. So if you have not heard that, go check it out. We're going to post it separately so you guys can hear it as well with Alex Catranis and that interview. I think that's going to do it for us here on the RSL Show. So make sure to stick with us here on the KSL Sports Network for the best RSL content.